Hi, how you doing? Justin here. In this lesson today we're going to be checking out the different types of guitar that exist in the world. Well, actually just three kind of main types, and talking about the pros and cons of each one. If you're a beginner guitar player looking to buy your first guitar, what sort of thing you should be looking for. So there's three main types of guitar. The one I'm holding in now at my arms now is a steel string acoustic guitar. Which is what most people kind of think of, like guitar players think of when they think of an acoustic guitar. The other types of guitar are an electric guitar and a classical guitar. And a classical guitar is also a type of an acoustic guitar as well. So we end up in this funny area where things are not quite falling into one of the three categories. But that's the most important three. Now, when you're choosing which one of them you're going to play, there's a few things that kind of set it off straight away. If you want to play rock guitar, get an electric guitar. Full stop, easy, done, sold. If you've got not very much money to spend and you're really looking at as cheap a guitar as possible, get an electric guitar. I know it sounds kind of funny that you think, oh, it's an electric guitar, it's got more fancy stuff in it, but actually the problem is with acoustic guitars, especially steel string acoustic guitars, when they're really cheap, they're really difficult to play. They've got what's called a high action, which means that the strings are quite far away from the fingerboard, usually. And so they're really difficult to play bar chords on. They tend to not sound very nice as well, cheap acoustic guitars, because they're made of laminated wood. And my general opinion is that if you've got not very much money, an electric guitar is a far better way to go. If you want to play classical guitar, you should definitely buy a classical guitar, right? Hey, a little bit obvious that one there, Justin, thanks. But it's true, you don't want to be trying to play classical music on a steel string guitar or an electric guitar. That said, I'm not really a classical guitar teacher. I don't cover classical guitar as part of my course. I don't really think it's the best, most fun thing to learn guitar on classical guitar, because it's all like learning to read notes and playing one note at a time and stuff, and it's a bit easier to kind of just get going if you're playing some chords and stuff. Anyway, so this is a steel string acoustic guitar. The things to look for when you're checking out an acoustic guitar is, one, does it sound nice? Now, the best thing you can do when you're going shopping for a guitar if you're a beginner is take somebody who knows what they're doing, right? Take somebody who's played guitar for a bit, can strum a few chords, you can have a listen to it, see if you like the sound of it. If you're a complete beginner and you know nothing, you kind of have to rely on the salespeople, and a lot of the time they're kind of full of it and don't really tell you the truth because they're trying to sell you something, right? So on the website there's a link from the BC 102, which will give you some links to some products and stuff and some stores that I recommend. But the big thing you're looking for here on a steel string acoustic guitar is that the action's not too high, and that's like the distance here between the string and the fret. When you if you press the string down, you know, you probably don't want it to be more than kind of like, I don't know, 3 or 4 millimeters at the 12th fret, right? You know, definitely not 5 millimeters or more, right? Because you will get them that high on a cheap guitar. So I wouldn't be looking at really cheap steel string acoustic guitars, but you can do if you want. You can get a thing called electroacoustics as well, which is an acoustic guitar with a pickup system, which this is. I've got a little you know, volume controls and stuff here. This guitar's actually got a little microphone built into it. You don't really need that when you're a beginner. If later on you're going to do gigs and stuff, you can retrofit it later. You can get the electric system put in afterwards, or you can buy yourself a guitar, so another guitar, a better guitar maybe. So if you learn on one guitar, you know, you can get a fairly cheap one to learn on. You decide that you're kind of professional now, you want to go and do a gig, then buy another guitar, you know. So I'd be more inclined to do that than spending a whole lot of money, especially on a budget guitar. You don't want to waste money on an electric system because it's a budget guitar. The electric system's not going to be very good either, and it's going to take more money away from just having a nice guitar in the first place. So that's a steel string guitar. Okay, this is a classical guitar, and these are quite easy to play. I learned on a classical guitar, also called a nylon string acoustic, because the strings aren't metal anymore. We're talking about nylon. Used to be made of catgut, believe it or not. Definitely glad my cat wasn't around in the days when they did catgut guitar strings. Anyway, the strings are made of nylon now, so you don't have to worry if you're an animal liver. These can be quite cheap. I started off on a Yamaha GC 100, I think, or 110. And it was a fantastic guitar. Well, it didn't cost very much. Yamaha make really good nylon string acoustics. Highly recommend them. I don't play them anymore, but for beginners guitars, they're really wicked. Don't worry about getting one with an electric system, you don't need it. They're slightly wider in the neck here. The height, or rather not the height, the width of the neck can be considerably wider, you know, 10 mils I suppose wider, so quite a lot. So a nylon string acoustic guitar can be great for people with big hands as well. That's a really helpful thing there if you've got big hands. The strings are also a little bit further apart, so it can make it a little easier to fret your chords out when you're starting again, if you know, for a big-handed dude. You have a lot of trouble getting further up the fingerboard here because you don't have any access to the higher frets, which could cause you problems, but probably not. A lot of children learn on these because of the nylon strings, and they're a little bit softer on the fingers. Don't really recommend it. They're good for people. The one thing they're really good for is people with big hands, right? A classical guitar is great for that. Or really young children if they're worried about playing on the metal strings and the skin on their fingers is too soft. Generally nice. They don't kind of have the same sound. Classical guitars have a very different sound to a steel string acoustic guitar. A lot more suited for that kind of thing, or you know, for doing that kind of guitar, more so than kind of strumming along. They don't tend to sound so good when they're strummed. So that's a classical guitar. Okay, the last type of guitar we're going to have a look at is an electric guitar. Now this is a Fender Stratocaster, which are a really good kind of standard electric guitar. You know, they sound good, they're quite versatile. There are thousands of different types of electric guitar, and the one that you'll choose is really up to you, what you like and what sort of sound you want to get, and what guitar players you think look cool or whatever. You know, there's not really a big deal about electric guitar. But there is some big deals on electric guitar that are really important when you're considering buying one as a beginner. In fact, I really recommend getting an electric guitar as a beginner guitar player for a few reasons. First of all, they're easier to play. Generally, the strings are closer to the neck, so it's easier to press down the chords. The neck's a little thinner, which for most people is an advantage when they're trying to stretch out for the chords. It's a little bit easier to start off with. They're a lot quieter. You can still hear an electric guitar without an amplifier, so don't be under the impression you have to buy an amplifier if you get an electric guitar. You don't. You can play acoustically. You're not going to be very loud, right? Which is maybe a good thing for your neighbours when you're learning guitar. But you'll hear like... It's perfectly audible for you to hear while you're playing, you know, no question. So getting electric guitar is good for that as well. There's some really good quality budget electric guitars around. The Yamaha Pacifica is the one that springs to mind. Ibanez do some really good budget electric guitars. Fender Squiers are okay. There's been a few quality controls issues in ones I've seen lately, and they're really cheap ones, but definitely like the Pacifica's great. I don't have a deal with Yamaha. It's just, I think they're a really good, cheap electric guitar, you know, pretty decent sound, play well. So it's really, that would be the thing. My personal recommendation is that if you're going to learn guitar, you're just starting out, you don't know what sort of guitar to get an electric guitar. Simple one. Don't worry about an amplifier and stuff. Yep, save that for a little bit later when you know what you do, what sort of sounds you want to make and stuff. Don't worry about anything fancy. Just standard, you know, Yamaha Pacifica or a Squier Stratocaster, or I don't know what the Ibanez one's called, or whatever. You know, any of those. Again, there'll be some links on the website for some specific guitars that I recommend and why. I just wanted to discuss with you the ideas of the pros and cons between an electric, a classical and a steel string guitar. Another thing that you might see is a semi-acoustic guitar or a hollow body electric guitar, which are kind of regular electric guitars. They're mainly used in jazz, and their bodies are a little bit thicker and they're actually hollow inside, so they're kind of somewhere between an acoustic guitar and electric guitar, but definitely, in my opinion, in the electric guitar family. Not a bad thing. If that's what tickles your fancy, then that would be a great thing. Otherwise, just get yourself nice simple electric guitar and off you go. And instead of spending too much time thinking about what guitar to get, think a lot about doing loads of practice and getting good real quick. Much better idea. Okay, hope that's helped you in your dilemma a little, and I shall see you for another lesson very soon. Bye bye.